Hello and welcome to version 1.1 of QuizMaker. I'm going to show you first around the program itself and show you the three different parts that you can use to create your quiz data and create the quiz and everything that you need to make a plugin for your BuzzTouch application. So we'll start off here with the question creator. A little write-up on the question creator, basically explaining how to set up your CSV file and your spreadsheet software. Once you get all that set, then you can go ahead and continue in. This allows you to either load a CSV file if you already have one created, or you can start with a blank one. So you could basically make all your questions right inside this QuizMaker itself. But we're going to start off with a load CSV file. It asks first if I want to have a comma delimited or pipe delimited. Depending on the software that you're using and depending on the characters that are going to be in your questions, you might have to use a pipe delimited versus a comma. I'm going to stick with comma. I'm going to browse to my CSV file here. It's going to say check to make sure your data is in the correct columns. If you set it up correctly, you should never have a problem with this, but this just gives you a second chance to look and see how everything's set up. So basically we got 6 columns in this version. A question, a correct answer, 3 incorrect answers, and then a true-false field. This is where we're going to really get the true power out of this plugin. If we set a true-false field to 1, then that's saying yes, this is going to be a true-false question. You can see that I've got data in the incorrect question number 2 and 3 answers, but it really doesn't matter because they'll never show. So a 0 for no, a 1 for yes on the true-false. Once I've made sure that all of my questions are in there loaded correctly, I can either add a row here and put another question in if I thought of one, or I could delete that row back out. Now I'm ready to make my quiz data out of it. So I've got a starting item ID number. It really doesn't matter what this is. 8 digits is just what I'm recommending, just as long as it's going to be unique to all the other item IDs in your project. If you set it up to a crazy long number, it's going to auto increment for each of the questions in your QuizMaker, and you shouldn't have a problem. It's asking me here what folder do I want to save, so I'm going to select a folder, give it a name to save, and this quizdata.txt file that I'm going to save is going to have all the questions and answers and everything set up in the JSON format that I can either use to remotely host on perhaps Dropbox, or I can include it right into my build when I compile, or I can copy and paste that text right into my btconfig text and compile it right in that way. So I'm ready to create my config now. Your config has been created, and that's that. Now I've got that quiz data fixed. I'm ready to make the quiz itself. To make the quiz itself, I'm going to go back to the main menu. First I need to make my plugins. The plugin really is all we need this for, is to give us that true-false capability in our quiz. Very simple. I give it a output folder, and when I say generate plugin, it's going to ask me one question: what is the project name? And it's very important that you get this case sensitive. It's very important that you get any spaces in there that are spaces, any underscores that are underscores. For mine, I'm going to call it product demo. That project name is going to be what you have set up the project name in BuzzTouch, and it's, again, I can't emphasize how much it is important that you get that exactly correct. Once I set that, it's going to say the files are created. Would you like to open the output folder? I'm not going to do that just yet because we're going to create some more things. So what that basically did was create these two files, the crquiz.h and the crquiz.m. Those two files are going to be what makes up the custom plugin, and we're going to load those into our Xcode project when we're done. So one last step, the quiz configurator. This step is going to actually make the quiz look the way we want it to. All the settings that we would normally do in the BuzzTouch control panel for a multiple choice quiz, that's what we have to set up here because this is now a plugin. So the first thing it says is to click on this white box up here and paste in the JSON data from this screen here. So start by creating a new load custom plugin screen in your project. Once you do that, it's going to give you this screen with just generic JSON data in it. But what that has in it, it has the item ID, which is very important, and it has the item nickname. So we're going to click on there. I'm going to paste it in, hit OK, and you can see that it's brought it in here. And you can see, even more importantly, that it's brought the quiz plugin item ID in here and the item nickname. The rest of it I can fill in myself and format it the way I want to. This is going to be the first step of configuring up the quiz to look the way we want to. So the data URL, as I said before, we can either have the quiz data remotely hosted. If so, then this would be a URL to the Dropbox or to the remote host. If I leave that blank, then it will look for it in the build, which I can do. I can include it in the build or include it right into the BT config text. Status bar style is going to be like any other screen. Navigation bar title, I'm going to type in whatever I want the nav bar title to be. Navigation bar style, navigation bar color. Make sure that it is in the format of a 6-digit hex number with the pound sign in front, and then the option to hide the bottom tab bar. Once I get these basic settings set, this is what I need for this plugin to actually work. Anything other than this is just going to be advanced. So again, we give it the same output folder, hit save. In this case it says my file exists. Do I want to overwrite it? So I say yes. So it's deleted the file and it's created a new file called json.txt, and that json.txt is going to have the information that I need to paste right back into this plugin properties. Once I've saved it, it says here, for advanced options, continue to quiz behavior. On this screen gives me a whole bunch of more options to add to the quiz, very much identical to what's in the BuzzTouch control panel. So the number of questions, question delays, randomize, all those different options I could set. If I leave them blank, it's fine too. Once I set all the ones that I need to set, I hit save, and that's just going to add on to that same JSON text file. If you're unsure of what any of these mean, then you can either go to the BuzzTouch documents, or I've got a link right here that will bring you right to the quiz property documents. So now that I've completed the configuration of the quiz and quiz data, I can see in my output folder here that I've got the one file that I started with, which was my CSV file. The other four are what's created by the quiz maker. I've got my .h file and my .m file, which will be included into the build. I've got my JSON text file and my quiz data file. Let's look at these real quick. In the JSON text file, you can see that I've got all the JSON information here for configuring up that plugin. Everything that we saved, whether it was a blank field or whether we put something in it, is in this file. If we look at the quiz data file, we can see that this is actually the child items for the data, or for the quiz itself, and this is going to have my questions and answers in it. I think now we've got everything that we need to go back into BuzzTouch and configure up the rest of our quiz, load the questions in, and then compile our app. Okay, so I'm back at the BuzzTouch website, and this is my custom plugin screen that I've created before. You can see that this is where I copied the original JSON data to bring into the tool, and what I've done is outputted that json.txt file. Now I've copied the information from that json.txt file. I'm going to paste it right back into here. Once I've got all that paste in there, I hit save. And now that quiz is ready. That quiz is all set up in the control panel, and all I have to do now is make sure that Xcode knows that I have a new class file for it. And you can see that it's looking for the class file right here, cr_quiz. Once I put those files in there and I give it the data, then it will be all ready to go. Alright, so here we are in Xcode. You can see that I've dragged in my two crquiz.h and .m files. That's really all you need to do. I put them in the BT plugins folder. I think you can put them in other folders, but that's just where I like to keep the plugins to keep them separate from all the other .m and .h files. Once those are in there, we're really ready to compile. I did add in a data URL for the box, so I took my quiz data file that we created with the tool and I uploaded that to Dropbox, and I included that into the JSON for the quiz configuration. So we're ready to compile. Okay, so I've compiled the app and it's running in the simulator. You can see I've got a regular quiz here, but this is the quiz that we just made as a custom plugin. So the quiz maker that I'm going to show you, it's pretty plain Jane because I didn't configure any of the background noises or background pictures or anything. I just went with most of the defaults. So once it starts up, you can see the funky white background that I chose for the navbar color, and we are ready to start the quiz. Now it's going to randomize the questions because I asked it to, and it's going to randomize the answers on the multiple choice questions. So on this one I'm going to check correct. And here's our first true-false question. With the true-false questions, it always gives you the true on top and the false in the second position. Here's one more true-false question. This time I know false is the correct answer. And here's our last multiple choice question that was in our configuration. And that is the benefits of QuizMaker.